Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, another Xbox specific video. This time it's enabling full autopilot control for things like assigned autopilot altitude. Watch this number here. I'm using my Xbox controller to increase and decrease that. Things like heading mode. Watch the blue bug on the compass here. Again, I'm using my gamepad to fully control that. And even things, let me figure this one out now, vertical speed. What's the figure here? I'm actually telling the autopilot what vertical speed I would like it to climb at or descend at using the gamepad only, effectively eliminating the need to use a mouse. I know people have been having trouble with mice on their Xbox consoles. This will pretty much eliminate the need to use a mouse. So let's not dilly-dally, let's get on with the video. Okay, so first things first, we're in options. And we're just going to go and look at, if my cursor comes back, go and look at control options, using the Xbox gamepad, of course, to do this. Now, what is going on there? I do have a mouse attached to it, and it seems to be playing up right there. Okay, move that out of the way. So I'm in the default control options, basically how it comes out of the box when you buy your Xbox. So what we're going to do here is look at the autopilot in the default controller setup, and a lot of it's set up already. You've got toggle autopilot master, which is your Y button. That will turn your autopilot computer on, basically. You've got vertical speed hold on, so we'll come back to that. Autopilot nav 1 hold on, that's basically like pressing your nav button on your autopilot, in your aircraft rather. You've got heading hold and altitude hold on as well. It's basically these three, the heading hold, nav 1 hold, which is like pressing nav on your autopilot, and vertical speed hold. Because they're already assigned, that's wonderful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to preset manager. I'm going to duplicate, so choose this box here, press my A button to duplicate that profile into a new profile. Press my X button to get rid of that writing, and I'm going to call this autopilot. Oh, yeah, if I can spell it right. Okay, autopilot. Is it going to come up now? I thought it was going to give me autopilot. Well, it's giving me autopilots, but I'll choose autopilot. There we go. And OK, and apply and save. So now, with all that set up, we can move on to assigning some buttons for our autopilot control. Okay, so I've got a simple route set up from London City Airport into Heathrow, as you can see from the right G1000. So we'll test some of these functions, shall we? So Y will turn the autopilot computer on. So I press my Y button. You can see AP has come up on top there, so we know that works okay. Let's just refresh our memory for the rest of them, shall we? Go to options, go to control options, and for the first few uses you might have to keep refreshing your memory. So let's just say nav hold is right button and B, and heading hold is right button, so right bumper and B for nav hold, and right bumper and Y for heading hold. So let's try these. These are all set up by default, like I said. So right bumper and B. Yeah, GPS has come on, so if I was in the air, the autopilot will be following our flight routes now. And right bumper and Y will put it into heading mode. And I'll show you what that does later. What I'll do first is turn the autopilot off. That's fine. And then we'll set up some of these we need to set up a few more buttons. It's fine it's being in heading mode, so it will go to heading mode, but wherever your heading bug and by default it's on north when you load into an aircraft. Wherever your heading bug is, this blue bug, and whatever reading that says there, as soon as you choose heading mode, it will fly, so it'll bank right to that heading mode. So I've got to find a way first to get this heading bug working where we can control it, so we can actually move it without coming down and twiddling with the mouse and controls down here. I want to do this all from the gamepad. So let's go back to options. Cursor. Let's go to control options. And increase and decrease heading bug is actually in instruments and flight instruments. And basically it's got a few things set up here that we're not really interested in. We're going to have to put the filter to all down here. So use your right analog stick, move it to all. It will show us all the possible assignments we can make. We'll scroll down this list until we see increase as the first word. Keep scrolling down with your right analog stick. There you go. Increase heading bug. That's the one we want right here. Now for this, I'm going to use my right bumper again. Seems like the button that we'll be using, the right bumper for our autopilot. Or for most of it anyway. Right button, and I'm going to use my right D-pad, D-pad right. So right bumper and D-pad right to increase my heading bug. Now remember, we're coming from the default profile here, so probably something's set up for it which we'll have to remove. We'll do that in a moment. Let's just click in here though, this box. Click in start scanning, and I'm going to click my right bumper and right D-pad together. Yeah, it's picked up. Right bumper, right D-pad. You can see it's already assigned to auto engine start. We don't want that. We can remove that in a moment. So validate, and press Y to apply and save. And decrease heading bug. It's just a bit further down. Decrease heading bug. Similar, you probably guessed it already, but right bumper and D-pad left to decrease the heading bug. This will make sense once we're back in the sim. So decrease heading bug, press your A button, start scanning, right bumper and D-pad left. That's right, right bumper and D-pad left. It's engine auto stop, so we definitely need to remove that. But we can validate that. It will pause for a bit, as it does sometimes. Come on, validate. Oh, maybe I didn't press it. And apply and save. That's fine. Now, to get rid of those other assignments on right bumper, left and right, we'll just go to search by input box here. Press your A button. We'll get rid of right bumper and left first. That's auto engine stop. That's definitely not something we want to do because it will stop the aircraft in mid-flight. So we'll click there, engine auto stop, click in that box, press your A button, clear current input. That cleared it. Validate. Now it's pausing. It does do that sometimes. And apply and save. So all we have for our right button and right D-pad left is decrease heading bug. That's perfect. Click on the little X icon here. Press your A button. That clears that. Click A again to search by input. And we'll go right bumper and right this time. And auto start engine. We don't want that either. So we're going to click into there like we did last time. Press your A button. Clear current input. Validate. And apply and save. So all we have for right button, D-pad left and right now are increase and decrease heading bug. Let's just get rid of that. We'll go back. Resume. Now if I hold my right bumper, watch this heading bug here. So if we're in heading mode, which is selected there already in fact, if we're in heading mode, the aircraft will want to follow to where this blue bug is on your compass. So I'm going to use my right bumper and left to bring back that heading bug back. And I'm just using my gamepad here from what we set up. Bring it back to pretty much where we are at the moment, which is, what are we, 272? Perfect. And if I want to move it left and right, you can see it decreases and increases that heading bug. Very, very useful if you want to go into heading mode and actually just control the aircraft via heading mode, which I do a fair bit. It's very, very useful to do. So there's that one. Let's continue setting up our autopilot computer. Right then, so what I want to do now is set up buttons to increase and decrease our reference autopilot altitude. Not too difficult to do. We could just go to options again. Get that mouse out of the way. It does seem to interfere recently. I don't know why. I've been using the gamepad and mouse together, even on the Series S. When you in the options like this, it can interfere if you don't move that mouse out of the way. Strange. Never used to, but it's doing it now. Right, we go to autopilot. So click in the autopilot menu. Remember, these are the things we've got set up already. We need to find now, let's see where it is, increase autopilot reference altitude. So we're going to have to go to filter, change this to all. Again, it's showing us all the possible assignments we can make. Scroll down until you see the first word as increase. There we go. And there it is, increase autopilot reference altitude. So what I'm going to do for this, again, I'm going to use my right bumper. I'll try and call it bumper and not button. I use those words interchangeably, but I'll try and keep the right terminology. Right bumper and D-pad up for increase autopilot reference altitude. So we'll click our A button there, go to start scanning, right bumper, I didn't press them both at the same time, you see, so that's my mistake. Don't panic if that happens, just click in the box again, right bumper and D-pad up. There we are, that's right, right bumper and D-pad up. Nothing's assigned for it by default, so that's perfect, so we can validate that. Press your Y button to apply and save. Scroll down now till you see decrease, which should be coming up, there we are. Decrease reference autopilot altitude. Can you guess what we're going to do for this one? 10 points if you got it right. Right bumper and D-pad down. Decrease autopilot reference altitude. Click in the box. Click and start scanning. Right bumper, D-pad down. Perfect. Validate. And apply and save. We don't need to remove anything because nothing was set up by default for right button, D-pad up and down, so that's perfect. Let's go back to the sim. Watch this. I'm just going to use my mouse again. Tempting fate here, but watch this figure here. So if I want to set an autopilot altitude, right bumper, D-pad up, as you can see, it goes up by increments of 100, but it's easy. Hold it down, you can get up to thousands in no time. To decrease it, of course, right button, right bumper, D-pad down, to a more reasonable height for a Cessna 172, 1400 feet. So, let's continue. So another function I want to set up is vertical speed, increasing and decreasing the vertical speed. Nothing set up for it at the moment, but essentially what you would normally do, come down with your mouse, press the vertical speed button, and then you would use that boxed vertical speed up, vertical speed down to increase or decrease vertical speed. We want to avoid using the mouse, so we're going to set our gamepad to do this. Going to be slightly different this one. Go to options, go to get the mouse out of the way as it's going to interfere. Go to, let's see where my cursor is, go to control options. Again, this is under autopilot. Let me just see where this is. Yeah. So go to autopilot. Go to filter all to show us all the possible assignments. Again, we want increase to come up. Scroll down until you see increase. And there it is, increase autopilot reference VS. Now we've pretty much used a lot of combinations with our right button. We better not tempt fate and use any more combinations. So for this one, for increase reference vertical speed, I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to use my left bumper and Y. I don't think that's assigned to anything. If it is, we'll have to remove them. But left bumper and Y to increase autopilot reference vertical speed. It's up to you where you put it. Just be if you're following this though, just be aware that you're going to be very limited now in what buttons you've got left to do what. So increase autopilot reference VS. Click in the box, press A, press start scanning, left bumper and Y together. Now it's got load custom camera and decrease drone. Drone's not going to be affected if you're in your cockpit view. Load custom camera will affect things. We're going to have to remove that. Just press validate for now and apply and save. Let's set up decrease autopilot reference VS first. Scroll down. There you go. It's just a little bit below. Decrease autopilot reference VS. Again, for me, I'm going to use my left bumper and X for this one. So choose decrease autopilot reference VS. Press your A button. Start scanning. And left bumper and X. And again, it's in next smart cam target. Don't really need that, so we can clear them. Just go to validate first and apply and save, just so that's applied to your profile we're set up. I'm going to clear those two assignments that are going to interfere with this. So search by input, press your A button, press your left bumper and Y together. Don't need to get rid of that drone, but I do need to get rid of that load custom camera, because that will just switch to a custom camera when I trigger those buttons. So press my A button there, clear current input and validate, and that clears it basically after it's thinking about it. There we go. And apply and save. And left bumper and X. Let's just clear that. Left bumper and X, press your A button, left bumper X. Next, smart cam target. Let's clear that. Press my A button there, clear current input, validate. Again, it's thinking about it, apply and save. I'm not going to worry too much about the drone because it's not going to kick in if you're in your cockpit view. Go back, resume. So vertical speed, we're already in. Let's just refresh our memory actually. Go to control options. These are the options we've got assigned. Autopilot. Which one do we want now? We want to have, yeah, autopilot vertical speed on. So that's a right button and A to get that active. So if it wasn't showing, right button and A, it already is effectively showing because we messed around with it before, but this blue box should come up. So left bumper and Y should increase that by increments of 100, and it does. And left bumper and X should decrease that figure by increments of 100. Basically, if you assigned an altitude here, which we did before, and for example, your aircraft reached that altitude, but you change your mind, you want to lower that altitude, so let's do that. Right bumper and D-pad down. I want to change it to 1,000 feet. You're basically going to have to kick in vertical speed for the aircraft to respond, because it will just stay at that original height, 1,400 feet otherwise. So press, in this case, it'll be right bumper and A to turn vertical speed mode on. And then it'll be left bumper and X in this case to decrease that figure, vertical speed figure. I'll show you this in flight in a moment. To decrease how much you'd be descending feet per minute, 500 feet per minute in that case. It will make more sense in a minute. Okay, listen, with all that set up, let's now test all these options and mappings we just set up in a little test flight. And okie dokie, let's give all our settings a try, shall we? I'm going to reset that flight just because I've been messing around. And I just want to get it up as vanilla in its sort of default state. It won't take a moment, hopefully, because we've just loaded into that flight, so it should be quick. There we go. Quick. And ready to fly. So hopefully that route I set up is still there. I do need it to come up. Yep, it is. Oops. I think a bit of issues there with my cycle views. Yep. So our route, simple route, London City Airport to Heathrow Airport. Just as a test. Now, first thing I'm going to do is increase my reference autopilot altitude. See, altitude I want my autopilot to climb to. So let's put it to start with at 1200 feet. Now, I'm doing this for my own sake. I'm going to go to control options and remind myself, because I've forgotten already, what autopilot buttons do what. Y turns the autopilot computer on. Vertical nav 1 hold is right button and B. And heading hold is right bumper and B. Heading hold is right bumper and Y. Okay, so I'll remember that one. Vertical speed is right bumper and A. So let's remember B and Y for the moment. And resume. So that's all I want to set up at the moment. We'll throttle up. Release the parking brake. I'm in live multiplayer again, so people are going to have to forgive me if they see me messing around on the runway. Give me a wave if you know my channel. That's not going to work, is it? Never mind. Right. I don't think I've got any sensitivities set. This is the default profile, so we'll do our best. I'll trim up. Just get my... Oh, there's a big aircraft coming onto the runway there. I think he was waiting for me to take off. That's fine. Going to turn the autopilot computer on. Right bumper and B, wasn't it? For nav hold. And it's doing it. Those were set up by default, but it's following our course now. I'm going to use my right bumper and D-pad left just to get that blue heading bug to roughly where we are, because I'm going to go into heading mode now just to see if this works. So you can see that blue bug on the compass there is moving pretty much to where we're at now. Going to go into heading mode, so right bumper and Y, wasn't it? Was indeed. Let's go back up so I can use my right bumper and left and right to change that heading bug. I'm in heading hold, so I can go in whatever direction I want to, which is perfect. I'm going to let the autopilot continue climbing us to our assigned autopilot altitude, which, what did we set it at? 1300 feet. Unlucky for some, hopefully not. And I'll just mess around with the heading bug. I'm just moving it to the left because I want to bank left. Oh, change my mind. I want to bank right. I'll move it to the right. And I want to kind of get away from that course line, our magenta course line, purposely. Because I want to show you something that might be useful for some of you once you've got all these buttons set up. How are we doing with our altitude? 1200 feet. You know what? I've changed my mind. I want it to climb to 1400 feet. You can see the autopilot's not climbing. Let me just throttle back. I'm over revving the engine. It's not climbing because it got to our assigned altitude. So I'm going to go into vertical speed mode, which is from memory, right button and A. And now I can press my left bumper and Y to increase that vertical speed rate of climb. And now you can see it's climbing us at 300 feet per minute to our new assigned altitude of 1400 feet. Once it gets there, it will stay. Let me just move my heading bug to the right slightly, just so I'm coming to the right. Oh, you know what? I've changed my mind. I want to go a bit lower. I actually want to go down to 1100 feet. Still got vertical speed mode on. Actually, it's now decided automatically to descend us at 300 feet per minute. Let's just increase that left bumper and X to 400 feet per minute descent. We'll climb down to 1100 feet. So as you can see, very useful. I've changed, you know, I've messed around with heading mode now. Let's just clear these buildings because we're roughly at the same height as them. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to throttle back a bit so I'm not over revving the engine. You know what? I've changed my mind. I want to go back into nav hold now. So I'm going to press my right bumper and B. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to use the mouse just for a moment. You can see GPS has come up, but it's not following the course. We're too far away from that magenta line. I did this purposely. Come on, behave. Alright, okay. Let me just get it into... oh, dear. There we go. We're too far away from our magenta line. So I'm going to have to actually use heading mode to get us back towards that magenta line. So I'm still in heading mode, in fact. Still active, so I can come to our left, bank to our left. Around that much should do. Now, is this going to behave? And you can see the aircraft turning back towards that magenta line. Once it reaches it, it will automatically come out of heading mode and go back into full GPS mode, which is essentially following the course, our magenta line basically. It's following our course we set up before, whatever course you have set up. Ah, London, London, London. Still a bit crumpled, but does look stunning still. Absolutely beautiful. Always enjoy flying over London. Let's not get distracted. Are we getting near that magenta line? Well, we're coming down to it. Yeah, we're coming towards it. Watch it. Once we get there, let's just move our view that way. Don't think we're in danger of crashing, but I want to increase my reference autopilot altitude. And you know what? I'll go into vertical speed mode once again and increase that by left bumper end Y to increase that by 200 feet per minute just to get us back up to 1200 feet. As you can see, this is very versatile. Very, very useful. I don't need to use my mouse at all now to control my autopilot. There you go, it's gone back into GPS mode. With my Xbox gamepad. Full autopilot control. How's that? Well, listen, do let me know your thoughts on the video. If it's been helpful, give it a thumbs up. More videos on their way. Always more videos on the way. Subscribe for more. And I'll see you soon.